Hi, I'm Joyce Short. I'm the author of Your Consent, The Key to Conquering Sexual Assault, and I'm the CEO of the Consent Awareness Network. Today, we have a very special episode of Consent Conversations with Joyce and Nina for you. We have consent crusaders that work with us through the Consent Awareness Network to help get laws passed defining consent. And several of them have been out in California attending the Cosby trial. We also have consent crusaders that are just a couple of steps away from the Cosby house and waiting for the verdict. This is really kind of something that we're putting together because we thought, geez, we've got folks in California, we got folks in Pennsylvania.
Right.
We need to get them together because, we're all waiting this is the bicoastal watch for justice.
That's right.
At the courthouse and at Cosby's crib. So Bird and Marianne and Nina will be joining us very shortly. But before they do, while I have you guys, let me just ask you a couple of questions about what went on in the courtroom. First of all, let me start with you, Jennifer. How many days did you actually attend the court proceedings?
Only Monday, which was fascinating and horrendous, frankly. It was the woman that was on the stand all day was the medical professional who was weighing in for the defense side and hired by the defense, very clearly hired by the defense. And it was painful to watch that. I mean, the compassion and I'm grateful that now I know. Now I really know what survivors go through.
Yeah.
That Judy had to sit there and even listen to that was disgusting to me.
And the fact that they unfortunately blame the victim because they don't have a consent definition, and the lack of a consent definition means that they're looking at they're looking at what was said and what was done by the victim instead of looking at the malicious influence that was wielded over this victim to get them to do those things that were maliciously influenced by the offender. So yeah, that's, I noticed that in the Weinstein trial as well. It's pick on the victim. It's not what the victim does. What makes a crime is what the offender does. And did the offender use malicious influence or didn't they use malicious influence? And that's all these cases should be about. What was the crime? Did it occur as a result of malicious influence or not? So what's your take on it? How many days were you there, Victoria?
I was there the first Monday and then this last Monday, and I may be there, unfortunately, probably too late because they're expecting the verdict to come in before lunch because the foreperson today is going to have to be her last day. So they're going to wrap it up. Lily and Susie Q and everybody are there already.
Yeah.
I don't know who else is there. I don't know if Carolyn Heldman's there or not with her, but I live about an hour east, and going to Santa Monica during rush hour traffic through downtown is just beyond me.
So what did you hear when you were there? Who was testifying?
The first day I was there when it was Donna Samuelson. And then just before we left, about the last half an hour, Judy was on the stand. And this last Monday, we saw the defense's expert witness, the forensic psychiatrist who was clearly siding with them. And Goldberg made the point that, so you guys go out to dinner? together, and and all of this stuff. And but he comes across kind of like this old bumbling, forgetful, painfully slow kind of guy, but then he'll kind of slip in something as if it's sort of an afterthought that catches your attention. You go,
Yeah.
oh. And I really appreciated that. So I was getting a play-by-play from Susie Q during the closing arguments. And she said that he totally rocked it. He came across very strong and forcefully. Were you there, Jennifer?
I actually wasn't. I missed that, but I got the update from Susie yesterday
Yeah,
because I was so like, I did not want to miss the end of that,
I know. I hated not being able to go. And Mark Strecker, Shalon Losh's attorney, was the one who drove me. So Susie Q drove me a week ago Monday, but then she couldn't because she was staying out in Santa Monica. So Mark said he was taking Shalon, and he was coming past Pasadena so he could swing by and pick me up on the way. So I jumped on it, and he's going to do that today, but we won't be able to get there until probably 1. So I'm afraid that it's going to be all over. And so what's the point, blasting myself out of the foothills here where it's nice and cozy and, so
Usually
anyway.
break for lunch also. What time do they break for lunch?
Well, yeah, it depends, but probably around noon.
Yeah.
So if they already have the verdict, the judge said he needed a half an hour after the verdict was pronounced. So, I don't know what that means. Are they going to adjourn for lunch and come back, or if the verdict comes in, is it just going to be a flat out adjournment? I mean, the media situation was not the same in Santa Monica Courthouse as it was in Norristown, nor as it was when we were in Independence Square in Philly last July, Joyce.
Yeah.
So it was very low key, very small courtroom. And there were a few journalists that you didn't even realize they were journalists because they were wearing kind of boho blouses and jeans and scribbling on little notepads, sitting and very quiet, not rushing up to you, trying to get an interview. So it was a very different vibe.
That was actually, I don't want to interrupt you, Victoria.
Oh, no, please.
Are you sure you're?
Oh, yeah, go for it.
That was actually a question that I kind of, or a curiosity of mine, I'll say, that I wanted to raise, knowing that, I was meeting with you, Joyce, and Nina and Victoria even better, because you survivors also really have a thing going, right? You guys have a tight-knit group and you've got communication happening. And I really wondered about that. That was a little sad and kind of surprising to me to be there yesterday and to just, for Judy in particular, of just feeling the stress and imagining the stress and pressure and everything that she's under, and to see so few supporters there. I mean, I don't know if that's a big deal or not. I just think, as I was speaking with Susie and Lily about some of the other trials and how the huge support that was there, I thought, oh, if I was Judy, would that be kind of affecting me emotionally? And everybody has a different, probably different feelings about that.
Sure.
But I'll tell you, it lit a little fire in me. I kind of went, I want to be there for Susie's case, if it goes to trial. I want to be there for Lily's case if it goes to trial. I just felt like we need to do something. I reached out actually to my husband, who's 11 years older than I am, has a 23-year-old who's here in LA with us. And, she's in this whole group of young women who are totally woke and doing their thing, all fiery and what have you. So I sent her a note and said, grab your girls and come to the courthouse with me tomorrow. It'll be a good experience for you guys.
Right.
Did they do it?
I have sent her these different documentaries that were related to the case. So I had sent her Seen All Read about, Gloria, and hoping that that would give her and her girls some inspiration. And then also, Kamal Bell's documentary that you all were in, Victoria, which was huge. I personally had some experiences around watching that, and it was very impactful. And so I've been trying to get the word out about that as well. But I just thought,
we got an Emmy nomination.
Yes.
And we got the Critics' Choice Award.
Yes.
Fabulous. Ladies, let me just say that if I'm constantly looking away, it's because I have my phone right here in my hand. Let me see if I get on it.
Yeah.
My dog on the screen. Because I'm texting with Susie.
Oh,
so
yeah.
that as soon as the yeah, so that we'll know.
Are you you're on our thread? She said the guards are standing by the door now, like they did when the jury came out in Pennsylvania. Yes, they will have a verdict today, and they are thinking maybe even before lunch.
We'll hope that we are all together and we can all celebrate together on this Zoom. Wouldn't that be fantastic?
No, it's so frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is very frustrating. So what do you think the temperature of the room has been? Has it been optimistic or has it been pessimistic?
Well, nobody's really talking because Andrew Wyatt and Kia Soto, and she's always posting stuff accusing us of lying, and and it's been pretty intense. So anyway, so they were there. Mostly Cosby supporters were in the courtroom. And it was Lily. When I was there, it was Lily, Susie, me. The first Monday, Carolyn was there. Second Monday, she wasn't able to be there. So Lily brought her sons and some friends.
Nice.
During the week. So that was a good thing. So, Judy wasn't entirely alone, thank God.
Did you get a chance to have discussions with Judy?
No, we weren't allowed to even talk to her until after the jury went out for deliberation, until after closing arguments. So when I first got there, the first Monday, I sat in the front row right behind her and reached out and patted her shoulder, and she turned around and was so grateful. And then Andrew Wyatt interceded with the judge, and we were made to move to the back row.
Oh my. That's like telling Jennifer on the first day to take her FGKIA.
Well, I wore mine the first day. Then the second Monday, Lily told me I had to take it off because the judge insisted we couldn't wear buttons in the courtroom.
Okay.
So I had to take it off, but it was in my pocket, vibing.
That's good. Yeah, and Jennifer has one on just like the one that you wore.
I saw.
Yeah. And I have my shirt. I'm a little bit too far down in the seat for you to see it, but I'm with you in the manner of dress. We're all carrying our hearts on our clothing today.
The defense's attorney, to my way of thinking, was alienating the jury. I mean, she acted like an emaciated, speed talking meth addict or something, I mean, I don't want to get sued for that, but but that's how she was.
Your opinion, that's okay.
She was just erratic, talking and attacking and undercutting, and and then turning around and smiling at Andrew Wyatt and Kia Soto and winking at them and all of that stuff.
Judy's lawyer was speaking. They started talking, and it was actually to the extent that it was hard for me to hear them, hear what was happening. And I thought, oh, that's odd, that because everything seems so tight and kind of hatchets buttoned down on all of us, that I was surprised that that was actually allowed to happen. It seemed a bit odd to me, but maybe it just wasn't caught,
The interesting thing was that Jennifer Bonge, I don't know whether she pronounces it Bonjean or Bonjean or whatever, but she was interrupting constantly, but she wouldn't do it in a professional way and say objection. You know, she would just start talking and interrupting him. And the judge called her on it on more than one occasion. And then Susie mentioned that during Nathan's closing arguments, she kept interrupting him. And I said, I didn't know that attorneys were allowed to interrupt the other attorney when they were giving closing arguments. I didn't think that was allowed. I was really surprised. So, but I understand that Nathan just was absolute gangbusters when it came to closing, and Bonjean was not. She was kind of scattershot and erratic, and and just not being very organized. And one of the latest notes I got from Susie was the prosecution seemed all smiles and very happy, and the defense was very grim. I also noticed that sometimes the women on the jury were smiling at her, or laughing at things that she said.
With Judy.
What Judy said, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. When the defense, when Jennifer Bonjean was trying to press Samuelson about details about what the mansion and the game room looked like, where things were, I was so frustrated because I've been in that game room 1,000,001 times over the last 30 years, so I know that game room intimately. I've used that bathroom that they were talking about more times than I can tell you. And there are 2 bathrooms in the game room. And they were trying to disprove that she had walked in from outside through one bedroom and had walked through 2 bedrooms into the bathroom. But that's exactly the way it is set up.
I just want to say hi to everybody. Hi, Joyce, Victoria, and
Hi.
And Jennifer.
Hey guys.
I got my little.
Well, I want to get a glimpse of, I know that Bird always has a very unique way of letting her appearance speak for her. So gotta see what she's dressed as today.
Sure.
Let's go. So Truth and Justice, Judy Huth. Excellent.
I saw that.
Fantastic. You got it. All the bases covered there.
Hold on. She couldn't turn her bubble machine on.
Right.
All the bases covered. Excellent. So have you guys been, you got bubbles? Yay.
Yeah. We got bubbles.
Fantastic. And
we're gonna go get some honks
See if
now.
this guy honks for us.
Yeah, let's see if the UPS man will honk.
yeah, honk if you think,
All right,
honk if you think,
we got a wave.
yeah, honk if you think that Cosby's going to be convicted today.
Yeah, right. Well,
Yeah.
we're of course we're all hoping and we're representing, but again, really curious, no press, and I find that so interesting because press wants content, and this is certainly content, and just amazed.
I just reached out to my Philadelphia.
I understand Susie is in the courtroom.
Yes, she is, and we got her on texting us as soon as something comes up.
Yeah, we're on
Oh, that's great.
group text.
So there's no press outside Bill Cosby's house. So we're going to the busiest intersection next to his house. So that's
Good.
why we're walking down the street. The neighbor across from Bill Cosby, what's so ironic is they had a Ruth Ginsburg, they have several Ruth Ginsburg flags outside their house, but they're that say basically I dissent. Yet those are the people who called the cops on us or cops on me yesterday. But we got a honk. We ain't even looking for honks yet. We got a honk. Yeah, we'll take it. We'll take it. Anyway, So we're going to the busy intersection. So we'll see what kind of support we can garner. If nothing else, we're going to raise some awareness and let people know that they're not alone.
Absolutely.
They're not alone. And if we all work together, survivors from all different backgrounds and camps, we need to change the laws. We need to make a difference. We need to define consent. We need to end the statute of limitations on rape and sexual assault. But if we don't change the laws, nothing's going to change. So we need to elect those who support our beliefs and who represent survivors, not the offenders. And we've got to make a difference. Without us getting into political power, we're only going to get so far. So this is how we make a difference. Today's the day we expect a verdict and we expect Judy to be vindicated.
Yes.
Absolutely. Good for you guys.
All right, don't get our march on now.
All right, we're marching again. Oh, we'll be back.
So here we are again, looking at life in front of the Cosby neighborhood here. And I want to find out, because I know it's really hot down there and you're risking heat stroke to be there. What is it that motivates you? Why are you doing this?
Well, I'm doing this because I don't want what happened to me to happen to anybody else. The other thing that we're trying to do, not only working with legislators on the federal and state level, we're trying to educate society. Because everyone I've ever talked to, legislators, always remarks that they didn't know that consent is not defined in the law. And they're shocked, and the general population doesn't know either. We're all walking around here thinking that we're protected, but we are not. I'm also here to represent the survivors of Bill Cosby, looking for a good outcome for Judy today. I'm thinking today about Andrea Constant, one of our consent crusaders, and her trial with Bill Cosby, and the fact that the jury in both of those trials, the first was a mistrial, came back and asked Judge O'Neill, what is the legal definition of consent in Pennsylvania? And since there isn't one, the judge responded, that is a question that cannot be answered. Use your common sense. So I'm here as a Pennsylvania resident, as the consent outreach ambassador here in the Commonwealth, to advocate for changes in our state laws here. So Pennsylvania citizens can be protected, and hope that'll jumpstart a change, a wildfire, a consent wildfire in every state. People are having their consent violated every day in so many ways, not just sexual assault. And we want to help clear that up by defining consent as really give a knowledgeable, informed agreement.
Before you put Bird on, I want to make sure that we thank you so much for all of your advocacy and your hard work. None of this happens without your efforts, and it's very, very much appreciated.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm very dedicated to this cause, and especially being here today. This is my home state, and I live here, and I want to, show that we do care, and we're still thinking about survivors, and we still realize there is more work to be done. We have to change our laws. Nothing will change until that happens.
Fabulous. Well, thank you so much. Is Bird around?
Hey, Joyce.
Hiya, Bird. Thank you so much for all of your advocacy. Can you tell us what's motivating you? What is the reason that you're doing all this?
Well, there's more survivors out there than there are perpetrators, and we need to unite and change the laws that are keeping us oppressed. There's so many survivors out there, but unless we work together to change the laws, we're going to be working on healing. Which is, hey, that's great. We all need to heal, but we also need to stop the circumstances that led us to this position in the first place. And that means that we need to be in positions of power. We need to have a voice. We need our legislators to be speaking for us and representing us. We're tired of spinning our wheels. We want things to be different, not just for us, but for generations to come. Standing on the street outside Bill Cosby's house, hey, that's what we got to do. Risking heat stroke, so be it.
Good for
We're
you.
not going away when we're not giving up. And so I'm grateful to have these other women with me today, because yesterday it was just one person. Today it's three. This is how things start rolling for bigger changes to be made. So hopefully people will see this and be inspired to get involved. If nothing else, like our pages, share our information, doing something versus nothing. But things have to change, and it's not going to change if we just sit at home and hope and pray. So Joyce, thank you for being a leader in this movement, and thank you for trying to represent June 28th is an important day for those to vote for you, a Democratic councilwoman. Take advantage of that opportunity to vote for somebody who reflects who reflects their stances. So Joyce, thank you for being a leader and an example for others.
Thank you.
We really truly appreciate all the work you've done, and we know people aren't making bucks from doing this. They do this because they feel passionate and committed to a greater cause, and that's priceless. So Joyce, thank you for all your priceless work and leadership. We appreciate it. And
Thank you.
And with that, if that's okay, I'm gonna pass you on.
Pass the baton to Mary Ann.
Jesus, oh my God, Mary Ann, listen. I haven't drank water yet, so that's part of my excuse. So I'm gonna drink some water and give you to Mary Ann. And thanks to Jennifer out there in California representing. We appreciate her.
Thank you. Hey, Mary Ann.
Hi, Joyce.
So thank you again for all your advocacy. And can you tell us what's driving you? What's the driving force behind this for you?
Yes. As I was explaining to the girls earlier today, there's days when I don't even want to get out of bed and days when I don't get out of bed. Just thinking about things that I've been through and the survivors that I've worked with have been through. Then there's days that I feel empowered and I feel like I want to get up and I want to be part of the change. I don't want to stay in bed and feel sorry for myself. And so today's one of those days. I said, I'm getting out there. I'm going to support victims everywhere. We're going to support Judy as best we can. We're going to fight for our penal codes in the state of Pennsylvania and across the nation to be changed so that they can define consent in a way that's clearly understood in our courts of law. And we're going to be here to tell survivors that they're never alone. There's always someone there that understands and that can support you. And so we're here today to do that. Joyce, we thank you for all of your hard work in this field and for bringing us along with you. And as Bird said, it starts with a one person, you, and then us, and then we gather others, and then eventually we can make the changes that we want to see in the world.
Exactly. It's like throwing a pebble into the pond and you see the ripples, and then we've got more people that throw pebbles into the pond, and before you know it, we become waves and become a tsunami of change. Let's hope.
Right. Let's hope. Let's pray. And our thoughts and prayers are with Judy right now. And we pray for an outcome for her that is positive and great. That's where our thoughts are. And each person that stops, we're trying to explain to each person why we're here. And each honk we get, we feel like, hey, you know, it's something that we've touched someone and made them possibly understand a little bit better why we're here today.
100%. And thank you so much for your advocacy and for being out there and part of this effort. You're wonderful. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Joyce.
All right, folks. Thank you so much for watching. And we're going to hopefully get a decision soon. So thanks to everyone who joined us today and spoke today. And let's just pray for the right decision coming down from that jury.